Hey everybody, hi. It's Nettie Estes, and I apologize for being, 6 minutes late tonight. It's kind of ironic because we're going to be talking about stories tonight. I can tell you a story right now about my cable company and the internet going down about 10 minutes to 8. So I apologize, but we're back live now, and I'm so glad that you guys could be here with us, with the Total Inspired Living Tribe Hangout. We're so excited to have you all here. If you are new tonight, please introduce yourself in the chat roll, and let us know if there's anything that you would like us to talk about, because every week we bring this hangout to you in the hopes that our vision and our motivation, our inspiration, and our value will see you through to get the potential, and you'll be able to live the life that you dream about and reach that goal that you want to reach. So without further ado, I think I'm going to get right into it because we were already 6 minutes late. So tonight, yes, tonight our subject is you are one story away from greatness. I had to think about how that was worded. I think it's just a beautiful title. You are one story away from greatness. So what does all that mean? Well, here's the truth, gang. Facts tell, but stories sell. You see, facts aren't enough. Facts are something that people can agree with. But if you want somebody to respond to you, if you want somebody to react, you have to engage them. And the best way to do this is with stories. It's no longer just about reciting a list of your products, a list of the benefits of your products, a list of the services that you do, and why you should use that product. It's no longer all about that in a presentation. But I guarantee you they will remember the story that the presenter made before they remember what was on the slideshow about the products. However, storytelling, not everyone is there yet. You know it, you've heard it enough times, but you're just really not there yet. So some people still need a little convincing that story is the key to communication success. And if that is you, then let me assure you, there is one thing that separates the good from the best when it comes to effective communication and a message resonating, and that one thing is a story. Whether it is in sales setting, motivational setting, or an informal setting, a story will make whatever it is you have to say a whole lot better. There's no denying it. Whoever tells the best story wins, which means if you're not telling your story, you're losing. So that could mean, losing could mean so many different things. I mean, you could be leaving an enormous amount of money on the table, okay? Or you could just be losing out, not getting the leads, or, losing out on not getting people to come to your home party, or whatever it is that you're in as the entrepreneur or the business person. So stories, they are extremely persuasive, extremely. Think about it. Your favorite speakers, authors, your teachers, they were all great storytellers. Even your favorite relatives are the ones who openly share the story of their shenanigans. All of these individuals, they are engaging, they're honest, sometimes funny, sometimes heartbreaking, but always memorable. So things you hope to be, things you should be, things you can be when you choose storytelling. So why do stories work? That's an interesting question. Why do stories work? Well, using story as part of your presentation is an appeal to the listener's emotion. A story has the ability to touch the heart of a listener, to put facts in the context of life, and this is a big one, to allow room for the listener to insert their own experience into the story that's being told. Or it could be just simply to make them feel good. But a well-told, perfectly placed story is perhaps the most powerful use of emotion that there is, okay? As some of you might know, one of our dogs that Sam and I have, her name is Bella, and she is a golden retriever that we rescued from a no-kill facility about 2 years ago. And she has been one of the biggest blessings to ever come into our lives. She's just so special. She's so very special. And the where we got her from, the facility that we got her from, I've never gone back to where we got her, but I have faithfully given a donation every month. Every month, I never miss. But not too long ago, I was invited to a breakfast fundraiser for this nonprofit organization, and it was being held to raise awareness, but also money to assist in the expenses that it takes to care for the wonderful animals that are brought in. So I had already donated more than I had planned for the year, so I was attending to offer, I guess, emotional support for some friends who were very much involved. But I had no intentions of giving any more dollars, none. So when the food was being cleared from the tables, the program began. And it was a program that was all about stories. And I found myself not only holding back a few tears, but unable to keep my wallet closed. Now, I have been asked to give by many charitable organizations, all doing great work, and I can certainly say no when I need to. However, on that Wednesday morning, at that breakfast, for an organization with which I was really barely familiar, I couldn't even help myself. I wanted so badly to be a part of the solution. I pulled out my credit card, and as I wrote down the expiration date and the security code, people around the room, they're raising their hands to donate $500, donate $1,000, and even $5,000. They raised over $10,000 in one morning at one breakfast. And it was the most effective use of emotional storytelling I've ever seen. And I actually felt honored to have witnessed it. Like, we all build these walls, you know. I'm not going to donate. I'm not going to buy the most expensive insurance, or I'm not going to accept this new boss who replaced the boss that I loved. Stories that appeal to listeners' emotions have the ability to not necessarily break down those walls, but work the information through any cracks and crevices that might exist within those walls. Mind you, a story should never be used as a means for manipulating. Never. A story should be true. Plain and simple, true. A force of good, so to speak. So story and emotional appeal certainly make a perfect match. And that's pretty obvious, like a story and emotion. They make a good match. But however, the use of storytelling, it has an additional, often overlooked and certainly underestimated ability too. And that is, storytelling establishes your credibility. So yeah, let's say you've got an audience of any size and you need them to believe you, trust you, and have faith that you are the one that should be speaking to them. You're qualified to speak to them or write on that topic. So you have a few options to make this happen. And one of them could be you can tell the audience your title and how long you've had that title and hope that they're impressed. Or you can put your title on a slide in front of the room so they can read it and hope that they're impressed. Or you can tell them a story about what you did to earn that title, or a story of what you've done while you've had that title, and you will know that they're not only going to be impressed, but they're going to be interested in knowing more. And that's the ticket. They want to know more. So the most powerful way to establish credibility with an audience is to share a story in which you are the main character, and you're cast in the role where you are implementing the expertise, whatever kind of expertise that is. So if you're an expert in helping people build and develop their own businesses, share a story of a client you've worked with before. Or if you're a teacher, maybe advising a parent whose child is having difficulty in the classroom, share a story of a past and an anonymous student with similar challenges and how you help guide that student successfully through the year. The most powerful way to establish credibility with an audience is to share a story in which you are the main character and cast in the role where you, again, are implementing the expertise. So whatever it is that you're talking about, you've got to become the expert at. So are you an expert, it's like, say in network marketing or in home parties or something like that? Then you've got to stand up there with confidence, and you have to be able to tell your story. And the story is typically, in business, is typically about how, you had reached your low point maybe, and you decided that you wanted something better. Maybe you wanted out of the job. Maybe you wanted the freedom to have the paycheck and not have to go to the 8 to 5, or maybe you needed it for the extra cash. There are so many reasons why you can tell your story, and I guarantee you your own honest story will hit the emotions of all of them that are there. So truthfully, in many situations, your audience is just not buying your information. They're buying you. For them to fully invest, they have to like you, and at the very least, they really need to respect you. So the people who are the best at what they do are the ones who develop a rapport with their listeners. One way to quickly establish a relationship with your audience is to share a personal story, so that they get to know you, so that they have the opportunity to cheer for you, so that they can see you, that you're not so different from them. So ultimately they can choose you and or the product or service that you are offering. So there's many more reasons why stories work. But for now, let's just agree that there's a place for a story in what you're doing right now, and it's your job to master that skill of telling the story. So how do you find your stories? How do you do that? I've been told that I am a storyteller, and I've been asked, where do you get your stories? And that always makes me laugh. My stories are my life. And over time, I realized that that's not what people were really asking me. They weren't asking me where I found my stories. They were asking me how I found them. And certainly, the first step to using your stories is actually finding your own stories, okay? So you've got to find a story in order to be able to tell somebody about it. And if you're afraid that you don't have any, don't worry. Each of us, we have that unlimited amount of great story material locked up in the memory bank here. We just need to focus on some strategies for getting to that. So here's just a few. There's so many more, but I'm going to give you just a couple of strategies. I need to buy a vowel tonight. Strategies that we can use, or exercises there, that's a better word, to begin searching for our stories. So one of the ways that I'll do it is I'll think about my firsts. And that could be your first job, your first car, your first kiss, Firsts are often packed with emotion and drama, which makes for great stories. Like, write down a few of your firsts and ask yourself, who was there? How did I feel? Did anything go wrong? How did it turn out? And what did I learn from that? So, and the next way that is another way of looking for how you can find your stories is think about your best friends. Like, make a list of anyone you've called a best friend over the years. For each one, write down your favorite memories, things that you did together, places you went, trouble that you might have caused. What happened to your relationship? Are you still friends? Was there a falling out? Where are they now? And finally, what would they think of the person that you've become? That's a huge one, the friends thing. And then another way that I can do it too is I'll take a look through a photo journey, I like to call it. You know, photographs are capture moments. I mean, moments that often that are pieces of like a bigger story. Page through some old photos online, or if you've got a photo album, you know, for you young ones that don't know what a photo album is, that's where you keep your pictures that you used to take. And ask yourself, what was happening? Like, who was there and how did you know them and why were you there? Did anything funny or sad or scary or exciting happen? Did you learn anything? You know, interesting stories happen when we act outside of our typical behavior. You hear that? Like the stories, the interesting stories, they act like if we're just mundane, chances are we're not going to have a story much. But they happen outside of our typical behavior. So, for example, if you're not a risk taker, think about a time you took a risk. And how did that turn out? Good or bad? And what did you learn from it? So if you're not a person who cries, when was the time that you shed some serious tears? And why? What happened to cause that? And what happened after? And did you change as a result of that experience? And remember one thing, elaborate plots, over-the-top fantasy, none of that's necessary. Just tell your story as you remember it. I want nothing more than to see people, and particularly you, be more successful at sharing your message. So I really hope that some of these points that I've brought forward have helped you, and I know the girls are going to add even more points to this, so I can't wait to hear what they've got to say. But, you know, hit me up if you want to know more about storytelling. Hit the rest of us up too. But we're going to get into that a little bit about what we've got. So about storytelling just later on. So I'm going to move right along to Shirley. And you go ahead, Shirley.
Thanks, Nettie. And I'm going to warn you guys tonight, I may be a little distracted. We just got this new pet, and I'm literally like shutting off my camera every few minutes because there's just so much going on in my house right now. But anyway, you know how they say about kids, kids do the darndest things? Well, pets are my kids, or I just have one right now, but pets are your kids. They do the darndest things, of course, when you don't want them to. So bear with me. I'm going to stay on point as much as I can. But, when thinking about this hangout, I had to think about what I know about storytelling. And I'll never forget the first time I heard the phrase storytelling in our industry. And I was like, what the heck? Like, why would anyone tell stories? Like, because I grew up as an avid book reader. And I would read books, children's books, every book that I could put my hands on. And when I came to this industry of, blogging and learning how to, build a tribe and all that stuff, I was like, how is telling a story going to help your customers or your ideal, your avatar or your blog readers? Like, I looked at storytelling like picking up a book and reading what was in the book. I never viewed storytelling as something of your life experience, which now that I know that it's storytelling of your life experience, it's made more sense to me. So I want to talk tonight about how I overcame my fear of public speaking. And when I really dug deep, it was actually a fear of being me. It wasn't necessarily a fear of speaking in front of people, it was just a fear of being who I really am. So I'm going to share that. I'm going to be talking about some things that I've never told anyone ever. And this is really going to help you to never have to fear the camera again. I don't know if you're like me, but if you hold up your phone and you take your first video, your hands are shaking so much you can barely do it. Sometimes it's not just the first time you do video, but every single time you do video. If you're like me, maybe you had to take over 100 videos before you actually felt comfortable, before it actually felt as natural as brushing your teeth in the morning. So I'm going to share with you how to never fear that. I'm also going to share with you how to never again push anything off to the future until you're, skinnier, wealthier, feeling better, right? Because we all don't want to turn on the camera until we put our makeup on, until we have nice clothes, right? Everyone feels like that. And you're also going to, lastly, you're going to learn the 3 key points to showing up as your most authentic self. And I'm going to promise you it's not what you think. So starting out, just to backtrack a little, my fear of public speaking came from a traumatic experience I had in my childhood. And I've actually learned recently that public speaking is listed as one of the most dreaded things that anyone puts on their list. I don't know if there's fear of dying, there's fear of bungee jumping, and then there's also fear of public speaking. It's right up there. So this is something that everyone deals with, and you may not have had a traumatic experience in your childhood to be nervous about it. So I just want to share my experience just to help you feel that this is natural for everyone. It's not just you, okay? For those of you who have been following our Hangouts, you know that I grew up Amish and went to parochial school. I don't know if you can actually see this. I want to show you a quick picture. Can you see that? This is a picture of a red Amish schoolhouse, and there's me. This is a forbidden picture that was taken. And I look at this picture so much because when I look at the picture, it reminds me of a time in my life that I'm talking to you about today. The most humiliating part of my life, when I hit rock bottom with fear of public speaking or fear of being in the spotlight. And it started out when I was really young, and I've talked about my mom's death before live, but I've never talked about what really happened in that red brick schoolhouse. And I can't actually look at that picture without just shaking and just feeling all the feelings that I had back then. But I want to share this with you today because it's so important. Just to work through your fear. Okay. So what had happened? What I had to become when going to that schoolhouse, I had to become a chameleon to survive. And in that process, I lost who I really was. And so part of being a chameleon is turning off your emotions. And if you don't know what I mean by a chameleon, it's, if you're in a room with people who go to church, you act a certain way with them. You are in a room with your friends, you act a certain way with them. You're in a room with your parents, you act a certain way with them. For me, literally everyone I met fit into some category, and I had this version in my mind of who I needed to be around them. Okay, it was just ridiculous. But I became this person because when my mom had passed, actually it was before she had passed as well, we had this daily this daily exercise of singing every morning. And what's traumatic about that, right? But it was, because in these ridiculous Christian Amish hymn books, of all things, there were songs about mothers dying. And this is not something that happened once. It happened over and over and over every morning. And I couldn't handle my emotions. I had to become someone else. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is perhaps you can relate. Perhaps there's been a moment in your life when you've had to deny who you were to survive, to go on and go to that school the next day. Perhaps you've had to become someone else, or you would just, go out and just, never come back. Something drastic had to happen, and you had to become someone else. That was what I was dealing with. And back then we didn't call it bullying. For the longest time I denied it was bullying, because it happened with adults present, and the adults didn't do anything about it. These songs were chosen every single day, every single morning, and I would just put my head down on my desk and bawl and bawl and bawl, and everyone around me pretended I was invisible, like they didn't see it was happening. So in my mind, I was like, it's not happening. Even to this day, I still sometimes don't think it really happened. I still have to ask myself if it did. And I know I'm getting off track here, but the reason that... Oh, you're back, Lee?
Yeah.
I think I lost you for
Yeah.
a bit. Okay. The reason that I didn't think it was actually happening was because I told my dad, I told my teachers, I talked to my friends, and they all said things like, you can't take a joke, this is just a song, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you so sensitive? And this wasn't just about the hymns, of course. There was shit going on in the playground, everywhere. It was not, I just chose these hymns as an example to show you how hellish, how extremely hellish it was, right? But everyone around me told me that I just needed to be more strong, that I was too sensitive. And when my mom actually passed, it was almost a relief. I thought it would end. It didn't. It just went on and on and on. I remember recesses, I would count how many hours I had left, and it was something like 2,000 hours, 3,000 hours. I was in grade 3 or 4. I had to stay at that school till grade 8. I counted up all the hours I'd have to endure this, and every day I would just stroke another hour off, and I became this zombie that had no feelings because I had to survive. So this was my breaking point. At the time, I remember one day I went on a walk, and I wasn't going to come back from the walk until I made the decision either to take my life or to leave the Amish. And thankfully, something within me knew that I was here for a purpose, that I wasn't suffering through this hell for no reason. I knew that I was to share my story someday. I knew there was someone, just one person out there that I needed to share this with, and that this would change their lives. And I knew I just had to push through. So I chose Leave the Amish, and I had to wait for a few years to do that till I was 16. Otherwise, I would have been placed in foster care. So I left for other reasons as well. Things weren't going great with the church. But here's the thing. After I left, same thing happened. I put on my chameleon shell. I was fixated on watching everyone all the time because I didn't know how to be. We would call it Englisher. An Englisher. There's Amish people and then there's Englishers. Didn't matter if you were from France or Spain or the States or whatever, you were an Englisher. And I had to learn how to behave in public, how to use electricity, how to use a car, how to go to high school, all these things. And I was just fixated on how to blend in, because I knew that if I could become invisible, then I could be safe. That was where I was safe. I was not safe in the spotlight. I was not safe people knowing the real me, right? So what happened was I thought that living in the Amish, right, would give me what I wanted. I thought that I'll be away from everything that ever happened and I'll finally be happy. And I thought just by changing my environment, it would change everything. And it didn't, because the real bully all along wasn't anybody else. It was someone that was here. It was inside of me. I was my worst enemy. I was my worst bully. I sometimes think about the things that people have said to me in school, and they made me cry and all that. And I'm like, but holy crap, they were never as mean as the things that I said to myself over and over and over and over of, you have to change or you're never going to be happy, right? So what happened out here in the English world, I had like 5 to 10 different jobs in 5 years. I moved to 11 different places. I was miserable. So I started searching online because I was like, I didn't leave the Amish in my entire world just to be miserable. Like, I've got to figure this out. And that's when I came across Erica. That's when I came across what's now the Totally Inspired Living Tribe. And yeah, there was a reason that this happened, because I started watching the training, I started surrounding myself with these people, and what happened was, out here, I began to see in this industry that authenticity is praised. It is held in high esteem, and that the more weird and the more unique that you are, the more you're celebrated. So I was so screwed because I didn't know who I was. So I'd look at all these weird, exciting, funny people, and I'd be like, how in the heck, how can I be me? I didn't even know who I was anymore. Being me was just another mask, just another chameleon skin thing that I put on because everyone else was doing it, right? This is what you may find when you're starting to tell your own story. You may again revert to trying to be like everybody else, which is not the point of storytelling. If you heard Nettie, right, it has to be from the heart. It has to be natural. It has to be your experience. So going along with this journey of realization, dealing with this whole how to be real, how to be authentic, and I just carried this around with me for so long. I had this ego that just was with me all the time. Like, I'd hear from everyone. Erica told me, I'm not going to name other people, but they would tell me, oh, Shirley, you have so much potential. And it's kind of embarrassing to say, but I got really comfortable with hearing it and never stretching it and never doing anything with my supposed potential, right? I'd go to events. I'd surround myself with the magic of how I wanted my ideal life to look like. All these people were living theirs. And here's the thing, that's why you need to get to events. But I get so puffed up. People would say you have so much potential, and they believe in me, only for me to go home and crash. Because, like I said before, I was my worst enemy. I was my worst bully, right? I never actually, my ego kept me from actually accepting the compliments people gave me. I just, oh yeah, it's great, yeah, that's awesome. I just never ever believed it and never put it in my own experience, right? So one day I asked myself a question, and this is another kind of rock bottom moment, I guess. I asked myself, what comes first, chicken or egg, right? I don't do blogs and videos and ads until I'm skinnier, more successful, better hair. How do I actually get more successful, right? Here's the question you've got to ask. If you're waiting until some future day to show your best self, what's actually going to get you to the point where you can show up as your best self, right? Like, if you're not willing to do what you know you need to do, I'm sorry, but your ideal life, your dream life, your best version of yourself will forever be out there. It will never, ever come into the present moment. We've talked about this so much, I don't need to go into it, but present moment is key. So key, right? And if you've been active within our tribe, you know something just a little bit ago that absolutely shattered me. I was on this hangout with our company, and I asked this question. I'll try to remember what it is. I think it was, no matter how I try, I still feel fake. And what keeps people from having the breakthroughs and being real, being authentic, right? And I, slipped the question in kind of under the wire. I hoped that nobody would, that nobody would hear who I was, and that nobody would read off my name, right? But of course, I have the worst last name ever, which is so hard to pronounce. And the guy that was answering my question was like, Charlie, Shirley, what's the name? Like, he kept saying it over and over, and I was like so mortified. And but the thing was, is he really felt where I was. There was a time in his life too, and I'm not gonna share his story, but there was a time in his life where he was just sick and freaking tired of not showing up real, of puffing himself up. And there was a moment, I know we're not in a physical world, but there was a moment when I looked in the camera and his eyes were looking in the camera, and his face was just, I tell he just wanted to come through the computer screen and shake me. And that's what I got, that's what I felt. I felt shaken by his response. His response shattered me physically. Like, I started shaking. And I had heard his story by that point, but his answer was, there is no try, there's only be. So if you hear trainings that are like, here are the 5 steps on how to do things to make you appear more authentic and more real, run as fast as you freaking can away from those types of things. Okay? There's just no try, there's only be. There's only you, the messed up you, the you that has the hair, that has the body, that has the outfits, the you in this moment right now. That is who you are. That is your authentic you. That is all you need, okay? All you need to show up right now. So I'm going to share with you the 3 keys that I promised in the beginning on, again, not on how to try to be more authentic and all that, but this is what helped me. First, like I said, don't try. So instead of watching other people and trying to copy them, the only thing that you can do is just do it yourself. Is to just cut the camera, press record, and do it every single day, and you'll get better at it naturally. There's no training that you can watch to make yourself better at this than you just doing it and being okay with the fact that, yes, before every hangout you do, you are going to get nervous. I get nervous. We all get nervous, okay? Knowing that if you do speak live, you may need bullet points. That's okay. The other thing is when, like, sometimes when we're on these hangouts, we forget what we're going to say next. And not only that, we may forget simple words like, I don't know how to say the word strategy, right? And you're like, your mind just shits on itself. And do you know what that does to your audience? That is called a pattern interrupt, okay? So when you first cut a video and you're mumbling, jumbling, you're like, holy cow, I can't get these words out. That's what gets people to stay watching the video sometimes. You only have 7 seconds when someone turns, when someone is watching your video, you only have 7 seconds for them to keep watching the rest of your video. So sometimes when you mess up, sometimes when you make a tiny mistake, people just, it whips their head around. They're like, what? What did she say? Can she say it again? Like, I didn't get that, right? That's a pattern interrupt. So embrace the mistakes you make. Embrace the fact that you just show up messy you, right? And the last thing I want to share with you in being, more authentic and stuff is your environment. So I used to look at other people and want to be like them and try to copy them. That's not what I'm trying to say here by environment. I'm trying to say be in an environment where other people are being their best versions of themselves, and it unconsciously gives you permission to be your best self. The only reason that we become chameleons in a room with church people, in a room with your parents, in a room with your old friends, in a room with whatever, is because they're not being their authentic self. Everyone has these masks on. I promise you, when you get in a room with a whole bunch of weird freaking people, like we get in a room every 90 days, there you can't copy everyone because everyone is so different, and it just gives you the permission to be yourself, and that is just the most amazing thing. That's just something I love so much about the company that we're in and the events that we get to go to, people we get to hang out with. There is just no other thing better than being around a group of people that allow you to just be you. So I'm going to pass this over to, back to Nettie again. I know I've went a bit over my time, but I just want you to take these 3 keys, just to remember them, and I want to see you out there just sharing your story. I want to see you blowing it up because I know that you've got this. So back over to you, Nettie.
Wow. Just wow. Shirley, oh my gosh, you rocked the house. That was amazing. That was amazing. And if you people out there, look at her. She told a story. She was authentic. She had emotion. And every word she said was true. So it just flowed from her. It just kept coming. And it was beautiful. That's I loved it, Shirley. I could have listened to you all night. So okay, so we've only got a few minutes. Well, we got about 12. Zen, did you want to go for a little while and let Erica wrap it up?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to condense mine because, as always, I have a little bit of woo-woo. So I took the whole story thing and I decided 2 things. One is your story, and the other one is the story that you tell yourself. So I want to address that one first because you can talk about reframing and you can call it Pollyanna, but in my opinion, we are all here to gain more positive embracing of life, our lives and others' lives. That's how you help other people. You help them embrace their lives. And in fact, I wrote a blog post about it today. One of the quickest ways, not only to establish rapport, but to get other people believing in themselves quickly, is to tell them about themselves. And I don't mean I like your shirt. I mean whatever it is that they're reflecting. And I gave an example of a client. So I anonymized it because that's important. So here's not the exact wording, but she said something along the lines of, I'm impulsive, and that's not good. And I've been working with her for a little while, so I said, that's very interesting that that's your observation about yourself. Because from all observations from my point of view, listening to you speak, the things, the substantive, oh my God, look, I'm stumbling over words like Shirley said. The things of substance in life, it seems to me you deliberate long and hard about before you come to a decision. So your little acts of impulsive are the things that actually you're just opening your heart and taking it in real quick and easy. You just made a quick snap decision based on what I call blank, which is a compilation of all our past experiences, and you can kind of weigh whether it's good, bad, or ugly and go, yeah, I'm going to go ahead with that right now. And so when I reframed that for her, she said, I never thought about it like that before. And I'm going to give you, because I want to be quick so we can get to Erica. The one other thing is that I want you all to be very, very careful in your wording about what you say out loud about yourself. Because your subconscious is always listening. And I want it to be listening to you say good things about yourself. So pick 2 or 3 things that you like about yourself every morning, after you do your 5 gratitude things, after you look yourself in the mirror and say, I love you, Lillian, or whatever your first name is. I want you to pick 3 things that you like about yourself and say them out loud, because your subconscious is listening. In fact, write them, because there's an ideomotor connection between the written word and your brain, your subconscious mind. So whenever you say, I'm not this enough, or I'm not that enough, your subconscious mind is taking that in, and it will make it so. So I'm going to urge you to pick what you want and say that out loud to yourself in the mirror, on paper, because it's important and it's impactful. And now I wanted to tell you about another blog post I wrote, because I've always refrained from telling personal stories, not because I'm afraid to cry or vulnerability or any of that. I'm perfectly cool with that, I think. I don't like to do it often. I don't like to do it in public, but I kind of can get past it, and this group has kind of helped me. And I actually don't get terrified speaking on these Hangouts quite like I used to, because I feel like I'm talking to my friends, and these women are my friends, and everybody that's on that chat roll, they're my friends. So I feel kind of calm and really connected and cool with this. But one of the things about telling personal story for me was that I always thought, oh, they don't have historical context for Zenlil's life to know exactly how that might fit in, or how I reframed it to serve me for the better now. And oh, it's just a story. It doesn't mean anything. Who cares that I used to be a heavy kid and that I overcame that and now I have a different self-image? Who cares about these things? Well, the truth is that, you know, as my hypnotherapist mentor once told me, if you can tell a story and one person, one, connects with it, resonates with it, and you help them in some small way, then you have done your duty to humankind today. And I don't care if you get paid for that or not. Don't be attached to money with that. Just do it. And that is exactly what this company is like. Just give value, and guess what? People resonate with that. So if I could tell you a story that helps you to resonate internally with something, then I've done my job. Whatever, you know, and it's not even a job. I love helping people connect with themselves and reframing so that and you could call it Pollyanna if you like. I don't. You know why? I want you to feel elevated and uplifted. And if reframing your story to serve you in a capacity that's more positive is Pollyanna, well then I am Liliana Pollyanna. Now I want to tell you a story, the I story, okay? And by the way, Nettie, I love your tips, because I went through the first kiss. Oh my God, I called my girlfriend and said, I don't understand what all the hoopla is about. Just don't get it. Hated it. And the third one, the BFF stories, well, my BFF, we actually chronicle our stories and we call it Film at 11. And we're going to write that up one day. But the story I wanted to talk about right before Empower was that back in 2005, my ex and my daughter and I moved to Singapore, where we lived for a few years. And because I had been a creative writer for many years before that, in fact, you know, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I should have sold that screenplay. I wrote that creative story only from the mother's aspect, but that's another story altogether. But when I was a personal blogger, I lived in Singapore, and I just was writing the stories because every day was so interesting. It was like a cultural mind blower. I mean, here I am, this tall American, and I would walk down the street, and people would look at me like, what is that? Who is that? And it was freaky. You know, and then the cultural speaking to other people, it was just so interesting. I wrote all these things down, and I would put pictures with it, and I blogged about it, and I sent the link to my friends back in the States, and everybody really responded and said, you need to set up a WordPress blog. So I set up the most simple one possible, and I blogged for years, and I had 3,000 to 5,000 a month visitors, and it was fantastic. I never caught a single email, and I thought, how can I do what I love? Because getting in touch with your writing is about seeing, hearing, taste, touch, smell. You have to create those essences for people to resonate with. You have to use words that are active verbs, and I'm getting into the writing aspect, but it's true. That's how people connect. If you can make them feel it, smell it, hear it, touch it, taste it. And that was easy to do when I lived far away, because it all was so different. I had to describe it to the nth degree. And I had a lot of fun with it, and people really resonated with it. And so when you're telling a personal story, often people in the industry will say, well, once you're done with the struggle, then you tell the story of the struggle. And so that's why, for me, I don't really use the word struggle. To me, it's life experience, and I just keep reframing until I can figure out the lesson there for myself and for someone else. And that's why I'm going to be Pollyanna, and I'm going to keep writing my stories that way. And I have lived a pretty colorful life, and I must say, on the tail end of having experienced, you know, the weight gain as a kid and then weight loss and all the different self-image stuff that comes along with that, you know, that's the richness of life, and that's the essence of who we become because of those experiences. And so I treasure that. I really do. And right now, if you've been following me on Facebook, you know, my mother's been in the hospital, and yeah, that's like, it's a freaky time because I'm not there. But I just booked a flight this afternoon. She's thrilled. She just said, "Wow, you're coming to see me? This is awesome." And I said, "Yeah, I'll see you Thursday morning. This is great." So it's a story of, you know, about my mother is an older woman, and I try not to think about that. I try to think of the stories of the life that we've had together and apart, because I've been living here in California for over 25 years now. And so I can't wait to go back and create a few more stories. And I think I'm going to wrap it right there. I think I'm going to wrap it right there and give it back to you, Nettie. Thank you.
Thanks, Ann. And yeah, our prayers are with your mom. I'm glad she's doing better, that's for sure. I'm going to move it right along. Erica, you go, honey.
Darlings, welcome and thank you for having me here. There's no way I can say what I want to say in 3 minutes. However, I may go over just by a few minutes because I really do, and if you need to come back and watch the replay to watch the end, please do so. So if you need to rush off, you know, on the top of the hour, you know, you have our blessings to do that, but do come back to hear what I am about to say, because it's really powerful, because Shirley nailed it. Shirley nailed storytelling, and I'm going to break down exactly what she did. There are 5 parts to telling a story, and she did it all. And because she was on this hangout, she didn't do the 5th thing. And I'm going to tell you exactly, if she'd done it, and there were 100 people on this call right now, they all would have joined her. And I'll tell you why. Okay? 5 parts to a story. If you've got a pen, grab it. The first part is setting the stage. She set the stage so powerfully. You got to know who Shirley is. Okay? She built her credibility, where she came from. Okay? She set the stage. That's step number 1. 2, the story of the struggle. Who did not relate to the struggle? I went through the comments afterwards. There was a few, 1, 2, 3 of you resonated with the bullying part of her story. Now, what does bullying have to do with business? So much, because you're dealing with humans. I think a lot of the times we forget that we're in the people business. We're not, you know, this thing traffic. Do you know what traffic is? Traffic are people. They're not just clicks. They are people. They are living human beings with pains, with passion, with dreams. They're not traffic. They're not clicks. They are humans. So when she talked about being bullied, who didn't feel that? When she talked about losing her mom, who doesn't have a mom? Who can't relate to some part of her story? You resonate. It makes you like Shirley. It's like, I relate to you, okay? The 3rd part, the journey of discovery. Who didn't feel that? She literally went on a walk. 2 choices. I'm either going to kill myself or leave. Who did not go right into that story? I'm going to kill myself or leave. Everyone has that journey of discovery, that turning point, that breaking point where they're like, this is it. No more. I'm done with this shit. No more. It's compelling. Okay? The 4th part, the revelation. And then I found. Okay? I found this group. I found this community. I found this mentor. I found something. Now, this is where a lot of you get stuck. A lot of you think, I don't have results, so I can't share my story. Shirley didn't mention money. She didn't mention anything. But I promise you, if 100 strangers were on this call, 100 people would have absolutely joined her if the next step she said was, and if you join our community right now, you can be a part of what I've found, the call to action, the 5th step. She couldn't because she's on a hangout, right? Nettie can, okay? But this is the part of the story. If she had said, after all, I would have joined her. I would have got all in with her. I was ready to sign up again. I was in the moment with her. And you guys all feel me here. I know you do, okay? So 5 parts of the story. Setting the stage, story of the struggle, the journey of discovery, the revelation, and the call to action. Now, this is where you guys get really messed up. You think you need these big results to have people join you. No, you need a story. You just need a story. Remember, you are the messenger. You are not the message. You are the messenger, not the message. Look what I found. Look, look at this business model I found that is going to take me from here to there, and then tell stories of what other people have done. Now remember, everyone knows you don't get from the lowest belt in karate up to a black belt. It takes time. People aren't silly. They might know where you are in the journey, but you've found this amazing thing. All right, my darlings, I've only gone over by 1 minute, but I hope that I brought it home. But that's it. That's it. Shirley gave you the anatomy of telling your story. Darlings, you don't need results to tell a story. You don't need results to share your story. People are joining you. They want to be with you on your journey. Plug them into your community. Plug them into whatever it is you are doing that is making you alive. You've gone from here to here. Okay? You've gone from here to here. It doesn't matter if you don't have a financial result to back that up. Before, I was so depressed and so miserable, and I felt like I didn't belong anywhere. Now, oh my God, I'm with these like-minded people. I can't wait to get to events. I'm surrounded by millionaires who da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh my God, who doesn't want to be a part of that? You hear me? You feel me? I know you do. Darlings, we're 2 minutes over the hour. I'm going to hand it back to Nettie. God bless. Shirley, I love you, sweetheart. I could just squeeze you. Bloody, I'm out.
Yeah, it's been quite a night. I'm not sure if Shirley set out to do that, but it was very, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm looking for not emotional. I'm looking for the word where it's healing for all of us. It's therapy for all of us to see somebody put themselves out there. We've all done this. Every single one of us on this panel. I mean, I've talked about the adoption and feeling like I was given away. And Shirley talked about her bullying tonight. Zen's talked about her fatness. Erica has talked about her struggles along the way. Your story is yours and nobody else's. There's only you. And just for the record, I had never made a sale, ever. And I wrote my story last year, and it was based on the 5 principles of what Erica just said. And within a month, I had 2 all-ins. So it works. So start writing your story. Now, if you want to join our team, which we would love to have you join, for the people that come all in, there is a massive, massive storytelling lesson in our all-in library that steps you right through how to do your story. It's an amazing hangout. So there's that you can get when because stories sell, facts tell, stories sell. So if you're interested in joining us, for heaven's sakes, click that link below. Get back to the person that invited you here tonight. Hit us up on Facebook. We're always available. We're always here every Monday night, but we would love to have you here, and we would love to hear your story, because I don't know anybody that has joined this and hasn't come out the other end with some kind of a successful story. And it's not always about money. Like, your mind, it's amazing how you start to think when you tell your story and you got people going. They understand it. They get it. They get where you're coming from. So please click the button below. Join us. We'd love to have you. And on that note, I'm going to say goodnight, and I'm going to tell you that we'll see you here all next week. So take care. Love you all. Thanks again for showing up. Without you here, it'd be nothing. So thanks again. Take care. Have a wonderful week. Okay? Bye, guys.